welcome to the CMS Handy channel. Please like and subscribe. So on the process of staining, the first step is that you know what kind of wood do you want. That's all on you. So it depends on what you're doing. But the first step is sanding. You're creating something, people are going to use it, and you don't want to get them splinters. You want it nice and smooth where you don't get the splinters, you hurt somebody. So, and sometimes you want it fine where you can see the index of the wood and the natural part of the wood. So we will get some sand. You can get something more aggressive. You can always get a sander, but if it's something this small, I would just get just a regular grit. It's fine, and there's different types. You can always get a block, but today we're just gonna use the sandpaper, and I'm just gonna go around, get the edges of the wood. The edges is where it's gonna be really rough, so we want that smooth. I don't know if you can't really feel it, but this is really smooth now. Some will be like a more sharp point, some will be more rounded. The rounded ones, you don't have to do too much. And I like to just get the face of the wood. Just want it smooth. You want it to look nice. You want your work to be presentable. And take your time. This is prep work before you stain it, okay? So I won't do too much with this because I already kind of sanded it. So like this, for example, it has some white. I don't know if it was previous painted, but you can try to take that off as much as possible. And we can, because sometimes that will just, when you put that stain over, depending on the color and the darkness of it, or the lightness of it, you might still see that white. So sanding will prevent that coming up. And so you want to get that get most of that off as possible. But we'll stick with this one. So the process with this, sanding. I like to wear gloves when I am staining. So we have sandpaper, the sand process, and then we're going to stain. So when we stain, you need a brush. It's obvious. Sometimes if you're cheap, you can always use a towel. The towel, we're going to use it for a different purpose. So when we're staining, we want to go with the grain. We don't want to just kind of splat it all over the place unless you're in a rush trying to just finish it over. But you just want to go with the grain. Just with the grain. One stroke, kind of a stroke. You can go back and forth like this, but avoid doing this because it will get messy and you don't want to be messy. And then, so after that step, after we get all the stain on, we'll take a paper towel and then we'll just wipe off that excess stain, that excess stuff. And then you'll see the marks of the grain in the wood. And that's what we want to see. We want it to look more alive, look like it has character to it. So the stain that we've chosen for this project, for all our little table booths, is this Jacob Bean. It's from Midwax. I can't see. Sometimes I can't read. It's this wood finishing. It penetrates into the wood as much as possible, and it's kind of a semi-dark color to it. But you need a flathead screwdriver or anything that's flat. Sometimes your knives can work, just to open these lids. So I'm doing over this railroad tie that we have as our anvil. So I don't mind getting that dirty. And I'll put this over here, away from my work. know where it's at. Like I mentioned before, we want to go with the grain and add that. We don't want to add too much. Just add enough. And then after we got enough onto our wood, we'll wipe it down to get the excess off. So with the grain and back and forth. Just enough. And with the grain. It's not that complicated. And if you really want to try to save some stain, you can always try to get the sides. Sometimes your brush might have some more. And I'll do the back side, the bottoms and the tops. Both kind of the same, doesn't really matter. And I'll go right here. Sometimes in this, the cuts, you can't get with it that much because it's in a circle. So as we stain this, remember we want to go back and forth, but afterwards we just want to wipe it. So I'm just going to put some back on here. I had to do something quick, and I'm not going to use my complete glove, but just get the gist. So I got my stain on all the way around. We don't want to leave the excess, so we don't want the excess to be drying. So we'll just wipe it off. As you can tell, it's got this nice finish, it's got character, and that's what it looks like. So I'll put in the description of where you can get these products and everything else.